Otimoi, hello, bonjour, bonsoir. This is Kuma Bwenze from Nziambe, God's Universal Village, Gabon, and our outreach for our village here in Costa Rica. And I am having another discussion here today. As more energy flows through me, I find more things that are important, I think, for the Western world to understand about our work when looking towards Iboga and the tradition of Bwiti, and in our case the originating tradition from the Bobongo First Nations pygmies of Gabon. So it is a topic in and around now the healer, let's say, in the tradition, and really understanding what that is, because I certainly feel, and I'm sure a lot of people will feel from this talk, if you have a look around, the weight of the collective behind the plant medicine movement. And this collective unconscious has actually done a lot of impairment or created impediments to knowledge of what a healer is. Because of this push for everyone to want to move into the plant medicine movement so they can actually escape themselves, so without looking at themselves, which is antithetical to what Iboga is asking you actually. It's asking you to sit with self. That's created an environment upon which the person providing the medicine can be anyone and is anyone, and the modern mind of the West cares little for true adaptation of spiritual knowledge. It no longer has access, really, and this is because of this fast-paced, technologically driven world upon which people think that they can earn things immediately, especially through economic exchange, which is impossible in something like Bwiti becoming a Nganga, let alone a Nima, which of late we've heard people claiming that they are, and the only one of their type in the West, which is straight away a comment showing the fallibility of which they're trying to promote. So this damage that's being caused, this dissolution perhaps, or watering down of what a healer is the reason why we don't understand in our tradition what a Nganga is. This is where I'm going with this. So I'm going to effectively talk a little bit about what a Nganga really is, as opposed to what its assumed qualities are in the West from these people who have bought initiations from modern deviant forms of Bwiti, Asangidia and Gondet, hidden behind the word Masoko, which isn't correct terminology in any case. It's Mitsogo, and they're from the Mitsogo people. These people have assumed an authority on this. Now, what a Nganga has to be and is he adapts spiritual forces from the forest, a male Nganga. The women adapt the force of the waters. There's difference. The men have to be part of an active, real community. First and foremost, a Nganga can only exist in a true village, not in these modern adaptations in Gabon. They're not real villages. None of the people in the West today claiming that they are Nganga or Nima have any real active village. These are villages of makeshift. These people do other jobs. They don't live in the tradition of Bwiti. It's part-time and partial, and therefore the information is watered down and they don't know what true Bwiti is. The Bobongo First Nations people still have this access through my spiritual father, King Adamangana, king of the primates, king of the Bobongo pygmies. So first and foremost, we need a village. We need to be living in a village, and every day we need to be actively sourcing the medicines for the patients in the village. So the village treats people, right? This is how it has to work. It has to have a hospital of sorts. We call it a hospital in the modern terms. In our case, in Mboka and Nziambe, it's called Le Don de Vie, so the gift of life. So this hospital, the Ngangas are the nursing staff here and the doctors. Now, every day our job is to acquire the medicines required to treat the patients. And the patients are often other Nganga. That's why we need more than one Nganga. You know, you can't do this on your own. So we obviously are exposed to sicknesses ourselves and spiritual attack from entities and other forces around us. So because of our job. So we need this support network, and the women bringing another element to this. So someone claiming that they're a Nganga in the West is completely fallible, or a Nima especially. A Nima has to be running a village, so it's impossible for a Nima to be living a part-time life. It's just nonsense. Just these people have more to answer for than perhaps the modern Iboga movement in its extortion of neo-colonialism. These people claiming these titles in the West and demonstrating and promoting themselves in an egotistical manner are creating neo-colonial extortion of the culture. It's a disgusting thing, actually. It's a blight on existence, because I have brothers and sisters, and I've said this many times in my talks, that are 10 years deep into being a Nganga, and before that, 10 years before they're allowed to be a Nganga, and they're perhaps another 10 years away from even being considered to being something like a Nima. Now, that's living in a village environment, not living in the West and then living partially there. It can't happen. It's a complete joke. So the point is the Nganga lives in the forest, and the complete pharmacopoeia of the forest, all of the medicines in which we use, are us. Now, I'll explain this. Those medicines have known Nganga for thousands of years in the correct tradition. We should all know by now, if you're interested in traditions such as this, that you are made up of the same frequencies in different intensities as the tree. Okay, so we know that. When I work with a tree, the tree knows me and I know it. There are certain songs and incantations and movements that we create to promote a reciprocity and a giving and taking from that tree. That tree I then embody. I eat it as well. The Nganga eat this, they come back and they give the medicine. Do we see this? I am the tree that I'm giving to the person. The physical embodiment of that tree, spiritually. That is where the healing comes from. It is exactly the same with Iboga. Now, I'd like to say something very strong right here in this video. Have you ever heard this from any retreat center before, selling Iboga? Whether it's these people in Gabon, all these supposed NGOs and people selling, we all know their identities, and Maganda's village and Tatayo and Yaya and all these people. They're meant to know this. Now, mark my words, after I've said this on a video, they'll know it and they'll use it on their website, because that's what they've been doing for quite a few years now, because it's all about money. Number one, I've said this before, as soon as it becomes about money, it's no longer Bwiti. Okay, so we're going to move along. This is about the Nganga. The Nganga's ability to adapt the spiritual forces, of which I can't utter their names on this video. I am embodied of those. How we embody them is through a correct process of earning vision and visionary right through ceremonial passage and initiating right, and living and working in a community, constructing houses, harvesting medicines, applying medicines, and being in ceremonies, harvesting firewood, living and breathing in that. This is why I continually return to Gabon and continually return here. I live in the two places, because my spiritual forces, I need to be clean first and foremost from the patients I treat in the West, because of the entity forces of which are all through the Western mind and body. I have to go through these rites every time to be cleaned, and then I have to adapt the spiritual forces again and recharge my batteries before coming back to work with the people. I don't do what all these other people do. They're not doing cleaning themselves. The Nganga must be kept completely clean, because you take his energy when he gives medicine, and only a true Nganga can work with Iboga and give medicine. Not someone who's paid for an initiation, or says they're a provider, or comes from any of the people that I just spoke about, by the way, because they're not truly initiated. And if someone wants to argue that with me, by all means, try it, because I'll show you, I'll call you out, I'll show. Because it's time for everyone to know what it really is. And there isn't any true Nganga outside of Boka Nziambe in the West, period. It doesn't matter. They all claim that though, you see. These guys I'm talking about say, I'm the only Nganga in the West. Oh my God. Wow. Number one, I've just elucidated the processes there that show you that it's impossible for them to beat that. Now, that's not my point in general. I'm trying to make people understand the importance of the healer. That sort of person straight away with that claim cannot heal you. Okay, so the knowledge from Bwiti is very deep, very complex, very ancient, and very, very difficult to acquire. There are no remaining sources of true Bwiti left outside of somewhere like Boka and Nziambe. There's millions of adapted forms of Bwiti. Bwiti is everywhere in Gabon, but that is not to say that it's actually being delivered according to the true knowledge. I've spoken to many different temples in Gabon myself, and many different deviant forms or branches of Bwiti, and none of these people do what we do at Mboka. They don't know the plants anymore, they just buy them from the market. It's like Chinese herbalism's become this watered down truth, right? You ask them, why do you use that? Oh, my grandfather said that was good to use. You know, this sort of thing. So I want people to understand, and perhaps I want to promote the opportunity for people to ask what a Nganga is. Because a Nganga has to live, breathe, and embody the spiritual forces, and that means sacrificing everything in their life to do this. You can't be living in the West and going and having massages and spending money and going to... It doesn't work like that. That's not a Nganga. So I really, really want you to know that in Mboka and Nziambe, here in Costa Rica, that when you come, you're coming to true Mabanzi in the women's tradition and true Nganga. To achieve this means me leaving everything behind. My family, I don't see them, everything. There can be no contradictions in my life. I can't be saying this and doing another. No. You cannot. And that's what all of these people are doing in the West. They're instant failure. They've all tried to come to Boka and Nziambe, and they've all been turned away. There's been no answer, right? And I speak the words of my Some Majesty, my father. I would not speak these words if it wasn't first approved. Now, does anyone want to say anything bad about him? No. So I'm telling you now that this situation of leaving everything behind so I can work dedicated in servitude to Zambe Kana, which is God, is a complete life. And it's the only way upon which I can adapt the spiritual forces of which I can work with an individual. And our work is incredibly powerful here at Mboka and Nziambe. It is not a plant medicine retreat. It's a very serious place where there's a confessional process, and the medicine that we're delivering you here has many adapted forms and is incredibly powerful. It's about exhuming anything in the way of that person and its personality, bringing it up, and it will come up. And I want people to be, if they're truly interested in learning and removing this for life, not just coming to experiment with the plant medicine and going home and having some brief results, but I'm asking people, if you really want to come and experience a truth of self with true Nganga, not someone that stands there in a photo postulating with equipment, then this is the place. Okay, we're very different. All of our money, we know this, goes to our villages, feeding thousands of people, because we don't need bums in beds for money. That's against Bwiti. Now that's happening with all these people. That's something different. So please, by all means, reach out if we want to learn what a Nganga really is. What is he? Because there's no actual way for me to even use the medium of a dialogue here to even explain what he is. Because you have to see it with me. You have to see it. I don't dwell in the world of thought. And that's not something I say just to sound cool. As I say it, I'm not doing it. I'm channeling what I do. So I want people to come, if they really want true healing, with strong healing, and learn what a Nganga can do with the truth and trust of a patient, come our way. And spiritually, the depth upon which we have from His Majesty King Adamangana, as a son of his, working through me, responsible for my life and development, and Manga here, there's a lot of spiritual power. So if spirituality is something that is important in your healing mission, a healing journey, or healing seeking, whatever it is, and you want this seeking to stop, then we may be the person for you. We may be. That depends on our interactions beforehand. Now, I will say this before I go. It was only last week where I had an opportunity to fill an entire retreat with people, and I turned every single one of those people away. Now, if I was about money, I would have taken them all, because they didn't have any surface level problems, like easy things, deeper problems. But they had things we could see psychically, and that our environment was a little too powerful for them. Now, if this was about me being some sort of postulating egotistical Nima or Nganga, the faux title that's paid my way through our part-time village, I would have taken you in and taken your money. But no, we don't do that. So I want to send my greetings to my brothers and sisters and my spiritual father back in Iboga, Nziambe, Bwete, to you all. My brothers and sisters in Dubois, the Babongos, Otimoi, and I want to primarily now just remind everyone of what I just said. Please, if we're interested in true spiritual adaptation and what a Nganga is, please reach out. The education's free and costs nothing. Doesn't mean you're obligated to come to experience a Giyana Nziambe session with us. Not at all. It's mainly about you and us spreading the word of brotherhood and unity, because that's what a Nganga really is. He bridges the spiritual and physical world with you. He knows both worlds through his silence of his mind, and he adapts those forces which allow, just by being in your presence, for you to actually trust and adapt and do your thing to connect in that Greenwich meridian and the equator line, which is my face, which is Gabon, which is the center of the earth, and also metaphorically here with the movement of the soul and the flesh. Align yourself with true knowledge so you can understand that there's only a choiceless awareness available to you through Nziambe Kana, God himself. There isn't a choice, there's only a movement with God. And that is the ultimate correction upon which the thought stops. And that is what a Nganga is, and Nganga can help. So if you can find that sort of information somewhere else, you'll find that it's been plagiarized after I've released it. Okay, so true Nganga.